telling Franziska and showed her that with the way my office is and the beautiful sunshine right now, I look like I'm in witness protection. So it's easier to just have it off and not have it blaring. But hi, everyone. My name is Cathi Ellis. I'm the center supervisor over at Conestoga Recreation Center. That's part of the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District. And I'm here to give you guys some updates of what's going on around the Park District. So the first thing we're very excited to remind everybody is that spring registration is now open. And spring registration for the first time is now including in-person classes as well as the virtual classes that we've been doing up to this point. So there's a wide range of options. Many of them are being held outdoors, but there are some of them that are happening inside. So they all got started last week. There is still space available. So please feel free to check online and get yourself signed up for a spring class if you're interested. Keeping registration on mind, we also want to give everybody a save the date for summer registration. So THPRD will be offering a large number of summer camp options this year. The registration date for that will be Saturday, May 1st. And you can go online right now using the search feature, and you can look for all of the summer camps and classes per facility to kind of get a sneak peek before May 1st for what it is we're going to be offering. Keeping on registration, we also are excited to announce that we will be expanding our multilingual welcoming center on that registration weekend. So in the past, we used to have staff who spoke Spanish dedicated at our administration center to help Spanish speakers in person with getting online and getting classes. But this year, we are also partnering with the Muslim Education Trust for some in-person interpretations for Arabic, Farsi, Somali, and more. So we're very excited that other languages through our language line and in person are going to be servicing that multilingual welcoming center. So that's going to be on May 1st as well, still that registration weekend, and it'll start at 7:30 a.m. and go until 12 noon. So I'm going to be putting in the chat link before I leave today our website. So if anyone is interested, they can be finding out some more information. A part of summer, we are now hiring. So believe it or not, this is about the time of the year when we are starting to get our ducks in a row and do our summer hiring for camps and classes. So we've got lots of part-time and seasonal opportunities. We also have a really great volunteer recruitment program. Tualatin Hills doesn't hire unless you're 16 or older, but at 14 to 16, we have a really great RISE volunteer recruitment program. Applicants commit to doing 50 hours of service with us, and it's a great way for those 14 and 15-year-olds to have a summer experience themselves, but also to gain a lot of really great work applicable experience for when they do turn 16 and want to get out into the workforce. So again, I'll put information about that and those applications in our chat. Some of the other things I'm here and wanting to share with you all today, the City Nature Challenge is happening this year. And if you haven't heard about that, it's actually not just something through Tualatin Hills, but that the greater Portland, Vancouver, and metropolitan area are participating in. It's a challenge as a community science project to try to observe and document as many plants and wildlife as possible in a specific 4-day period. And that 4-day period is going to be April 30th through May 3rd. And people are participating in this City Nature Challenge from around the world. And like I said, this is the first time that the greater Portland and Vancouver metropolitan area is being involved in it. And Tualatin Hills and the city of Beaverton is very happy to be doing it as well. So that will also be in the chat if you want to get some more information about how to sign up to be a local community scientist with us. And then the last two things I'm going to share are about parks. So the Bannister Creek Greenway did have some high water that impacted its trail and play area. So if you're someone who loves that park, there are some temporary closures. Staff have started those repairs though, and we do anticipate by the beginning of May for those to be opened back up. And the Eichler bike track, if you know anybody who enjoys that, we're very excited to announce that it has been expanded by 40 feet in the south. And that was in partnership with the Northwest Trail Alliance. So again, I'll put the information in the chat about links to find out more. And that kind of does it for the real general updates of the great things happening at Tualatin Hills this month. But I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has any specific THPRD. If I can't answer it, I will more than happily take on your information and pass you on to someone within our organization who can answer it if I don't have those answers right away.
Catherine, I do have one question. You know, coming north on 125th, there's a big sign at the south end of Conestoga area there saying we are now open. And yet there's never any cars in the lot. It looks closed. I was just wondering why do you have the big sign saying it's open?
Sure. Well, I'm glad you're noticing it. And mostly that's because in order to be keeping in with the OHA and CDC guidelines, we're taking very seriously how we're moving people in and out of our building. And like I said, we do have some classes that are running, but we also have lap swim. We have some recreation swims. We have some fitness classes and some weight and cardio room. And we've actually opened ourselves up on many different entrances in order to make sure that that funnel of people are not all coming in and out of one space. And the majority of those entrances to our buildings is actually on our backside. So if you were to flip around and look at the backside of our building, the parking lot is very full. So that was just kind of our way of making sure, even though the parking lot appears pretty empty from the front, that everyone who drives by understands that Conestoga is open and has some programming available.
Okay, I figured there's a good explanation. Okay, anybody else for THPRD? Okay, I'm going to go to the visitors' comments and
really quick on the visitors' comments, since we have so many candidates with us tonight, I just need to say a couple of words just as a disclosure. So please do not put any links to websites or promotional materials in the chat. You can add your email to the chat if you would like to share it with the group. All candidates will be given 5 minutes to speak, and we will enforce the time limits to ensure everyone has an equal amount of time. Sorry, Jim, didn't want to interrupt you there, but just wanted to make sure to get that out there.
She's the one that can shut you off after 5 minutes, so although I don't think that'll happen. And I don't recognize everybody who speak during the visitor section. I know Jeanette Shade is, Jerome is, Ashley, anybody else? I mean, it doesn't have to be on anything in particular. And
Sarah Lynn.
I'm not sure how you pronounce your, yeah, okay. Well,
Jim,
are you
going to keep time, or would you like me to keep time?
Maybe you better if you keep time, because I keep trying to see who's.
Sure.
Does that work with you? Okay.
Yep, that's totally fine. And then I'll just give you the 1 minute.
Franziska is okay if you keep time.
Yep.
I think they'll pretty much. Almost everybody being on Zoom and on a computer, if you can see the time on the computer, not a problem. Let me start with the last. So I can't pronounce your name. Sarah Lynn Dougal, is that close?
That's right.
Would
Sarah
you like
Lynn
to go
Dougal.
first?
I move that over my head out of the way.
Yeah,
I'd be happy.
You don't have
to.
any audio.
Okay, you can't hear me?
You're muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Nope, we can hear her.
Okay, great.
All right, now I can.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. So I came in and I left because I thought, oh my goodness, I need to put my sign up so you guys can see. Following in Jeanette's shoes with that. Thanks for letting us have time to talk to you tonight. It's really nice to meet you and to see your faces and to see how these NAC meetings work. I'm really grateful for your volunteering and your time. It takes a lot of time. So thank you for doing that. My name's Sarah Lynn Dougal, and I am a resident of Beaverton for 16 years. I've lived here for 16 years with my family. I have 5 children, 2 of whom have graduated from Beaverton High School. I have one graduating this year during COVID from Mountainside High School. I have another who is a junior this year, will be a junior next year at Mountainside High School. And then I have one who is in 3rd grade currently at Cooper Mountain Elementary School. So we are a very active in the community. We've really enjoyed being a part of the parks. I appreciate that THPRD update, and being a part of the community in lots of other ways too. We are so grateful to be a part of the Beaverton School District. It's such a fantastic school district and draws so many wonderful teachers from so many backgrounds. I am running because I am, however, concerned about the schools. I'm concerned first and foremost about getting the kids back to school. They have been out of school for this whole last year because of COVID. And while there was a letter from the superintendent recently stating that their intention was to get back into school this next fall, I am still concerned because we tend to follow some trends that happen. And right now, there was an article I just saw about the Portland Public Schools stating that even though they also intend to go back to school full 5 days next fall, they also are stating that they intend to keep 6 feet apart, which you really can't have both. So I'm really concerned because right now we're at 6 feet apart. We currently could be at 3 feet apart, and we have programs in place for those who don't feel comfortable coming to school, so that they can be at home if they want to and continue to learn from a distance. But it's really dangerous for the kids to not have the socialization and the opportunity to be in the schools, and the learning has dropped dramatically. There's going to be a huge dip in their education. And so it's a real concern. So first and foremost, we want to get kids back to school. Secondarily, we want to make sure and have the kids learn the basics. We want to get back to basics. We want to take politics out of school. We want them to be learning true history and mathematics and English and science. And so to get back to basics, we want to include all children. We want to make sure that all children are raised up to their fullest potential and have every opportunity, including career and technical classes that are already available or could be made available. Not everybody is on a pathway to college, and that's fantastic because we need people who have a variety of skills and a variety of talents that they can provide to the community. We want to develop those communities. So I would like to work particularly on those 3 fronts. Thank you. Does anybody have any time, or is that part of it, Franziska?
You can ask a few questions as long as you stay within 5 minutes.
Okay, so if anybody would like to ask a question, you're welcome to. Does anybody have kids in school right now? Looks like some of you might have some grandkids in school right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're an older NAC, so
That's great.
but a lot of us do have kids in school, but a lot of them aren't in the same area. They migrate a little bit.
But it's an important vote for you this year too. We need you guys to get out and vote because there's some important issues on the table, and you guys make up a big part of the population, the voting population. So we really need you to learn more about the issues that are taking place right now so that you can take a stand, because there's some really disconcerting things, particularly regarding divisiveness in the schools right now. It's very divisive. And so we're down to 1 minute. So I would encourage you to vote. Please go to our Facebook pages or websites to find out more. I will put my email into the chat. And if you'd like to email me or send me your phone number, I'd be happy to talk with you when you are available. Thank you.
Yeah. Jeanette, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jim, and I appreciate you putting these comments sooner because there's 2 NAC meetings tonight, and one of them I'm actually on their agenda. Thank you everybody here for showing up. I appreciate that, and anybody who's watching it recorded, thank you very much as well. So my name is Jeanette Shada. The pronunciation is a little bit different than how it's spelled. So Shada is how you pronounce it. And I am running for Beaverton School Board because I moved here to the Tiger Beaverton area in 2019. And I've lived in Oregon once before. Several years ago in La Pine, Oregon, and that's actually where I got my credentials, and my master's degree was at Oregon State University in Cascade, on the Cascade campus. And then the economy tanked, so we moved to California, where my husband was able to ascertain a job, and then from there we moved to Texas, and then now we're here in the Beaverton area. So that's just a brief history on that aspect. I've had people wrongly say I've only been in Oregon for 2 years, but it's actually been a total of 7 between the two. And I've been a teacher for 23 years. And so I know what kids need in the classroom. I understand how schools work. I actually have my administrator's license. I have not utilized it as an administrator, but the knowledge I've gained on laws and things like that has helped me in the classroom as well. 3 things that I'm running on. One is to fully and safely reopen schools, as Sarah Lynn stated. Our children's mental, emotional, academic, and other health is declining. And it's been declining over the last 1.5 school years that the school has been closed. And we need to get them back open. The information coming out of the CDC, which the Oregon Department of Education has adopted, is the 3-foot rule. And there's more information coming out at a fairly rapid pace. And Beaverton School District should be adopting those as well, and have stated that it's the union negotiations that have stopped them from doing that, which the school board is the governing body. We represent you as the constituents. And so as the governing body, they have every right to get the schools open and be a little bit more astute in their negotiations with the union. The next thing is to make sure we have a balanced and accurate history, education, and science, and music, and art, to get back to those basics, as Sarah Lynn also said as well, to get the political and social ideologies out, particularly critical race theory, which is very divisive to our schools. Why are we going to judge someone on an immutable quality like skin color? We need to look at what Martin Luther King Jr. stated of the content of our characters. And that's how we should be looking at things, and not the divisiveness of critical race theory, where they're talking about the oppressor and the oppressee and things like that. We also need to get a balanced sexual education program and not comprehensive sexuality education. There's a difference between the two. And sexual education program goes into health and biology classes, where it teaches the mechanics of how the body works and things like that, versus comprehensive sexuality education teaches things like gender identity, transgenderism, which teachers are not paid psychologists or therapists. They're not trained in that area. We need to keep that with the family and with their medical professionals that they choose to hire. And then the last thing is to increase the career and technical education program to make it much more robust than what it is currently. So those are the 3 things that I'm running on. I will put my email in the chat. If anybody has any questions, I have hardly about 30 seconds.
I guess he didn't get any. Anyway, thanks. I do want to mention one thing. Well, they're not, the school board candidates aren't part of our voters forum. They are having a voters, Beaverton School District's having a voters forum. And it's going to be on Wednesday, April 28th at 7 o'clock, which is the day before our voters forum for city council, etc. So if you want to, I'm sure that'll go into much more detail on some of these subjects you talked about. I assume both of you are going to be there at the voters forum. Okay, so if you want to hear more of their point of views and everything, and it is a Zoom meeting, exactly how you, I don't know, maybe it doesn't really say how to get into the Zoom meeting. That would be the only thing I see with this.
I believe it'll be on the Beaverton School District website. And Franziska, are they going to roll it out to the city as well? Do you know that?
We have put information regarding the Beaverton School District Voters Forum on our Voters Forum page. So we can certainly link to the recording from there.
Okay, and also this one that came with our minutes, you know, the first page, not minutes, with our agenda, doesn't really quite show how to it talks all about it, but it doesn't really say how to get into the Zoom meeting, where ours does more or less. Ours is a little different. So anyway, we'll try to get that information out. And I'll just go to the face. Is it on the Beaverton School District? It's on their webpage, probably on the Facebook page too. 'Cause I know Beaverton School District has a lot of information on Facebook. Anyway, thank you. And
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
okay, yeah, if you got other things, there's no need to stick around. So it's up to you. I guess I'll go with
Looks like
you.
Ramona might have a quick
I have a
question.
question, Jim,
Oh, I'm sorry.
for the two candidates. Are you both running for the same position?
No, I am running in zone 1.
And I am running in zone 4. I'm glad you asked. I just put that into the chat. In fact, there are 7 zones. 4 of the zones are up for election this year. And as citizens of Beaverton and the Beaverton School District, you can vote for all 7 zones. So I would encourage you to do your homework. We would love your vote for both Jeanette and myself and Fua, who
Sorry, Sarah Lynn. This election cycle has 4 positions open of the 7. So every odd year, it goes 4, 3, 4, 3. And this year it's 4 seats open.
Okay. Well, thank you. I usually have the problem in the elections. I have no idea who to vote for any of the positions, right? And I usually just leave blank because I figure it's probably worse to.
Please don't leave blank this year, please. It's a really important year. Do your
Right.
homework.
Yeah. You maybe more people voting this year because there's people concerned about, the hybrid learning and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
All right, I got to go. I have another presentation at 7 o'clock. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Okay. The last 2 visitors that I know of now are both running for city council. This is the position that was open when we went to the new kind of government, and one of the city councilors is Mayor Beatty, and that left the seat open. And so it's a seat that's never had anybody in it. They opened. There were initially 5 people that signed up to run. As far as I can tell, 2 have dropped out. Now, I don't know if that means, I don't know, Joe, I don't know, but I don't know if they'll still show on the ballot or they have just said that they won't be running. I'm not sure what the circumstances are. But Jerome's running, I know that, and so is Ashley. So they're both here. And actually, there is another candidate that I think is running. Oh, they didn't put anything in the voters forum, but I did send him an email asking if he wanted to be here. I never did hear from him. So Jerome, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? You got 5 minutes.
Well, actually, before I go, and I'm sure Ashley would appreciate this too, I was wondering if the members of your committee can introduce themselves.
Yeah, we could do that. Obviously, I'm Jim Percy, the chair. Ann
Freeney.
Ramona Clark. You want to introduce yourself?
Ramona Crocker, board member.
Oh, and that's Officer Klein, right? He's our community police officer. And of course, Cathi Ellis already talked to you. Rhonda, she's
Rhonda, the recorder.
Yeah, she's a recorder. She doesn't have her video on. And Dawn.
We do have a guest, yeah, Dawn.
Yeah, she's a guest, but she comes to meetings.
Hi, yes, I usually come to these. Not a
Great.
board member.
Yeah.
Well, glad to have you.
Thank you.
And we should have a little more, but we've been running a little light at our meetings. Okay, Jerome, you're on again.
Thank you so much for having both of us here this evening. My name is Jerome Sabayan, and I'm running for Beaverton City Council because I am a public servant who wants to serve the people of Beaverton with honor, integrity, and respect. I am the son of Filipino immigrants and was raised in Salem. I now live in the Vos neighborhood. I'm a veteran. A retired Army Lieutenant Colonel. I served for 28 years in war and peace around the world and throughout the United States. While serving in the Corps of Engineers, I became a licensed professional engineer with bachelor's and master's degrees in civil engineering. I served as a public works director, and I understand how important critical infrastructure is to a resilient and sustainable city. I am an educator with master's and doctorate degrees in political science and history. I have taught courses on healthcare inequities and human rights at Portland State University, and currently teach graduate courses on national security and critical thinking at the Army War College. I am a community volunteer, just like all of you. I have served the people of Beaverton through the Human Rights Advisory Commission, Community Emergency Response Team, Beaverton Severe Weather Shelter, Social Services Funding Committee, Beaverton School District Bond Accountability Committee, Metro's Get Moving 2020 Transportation Infrastructure Investment Team, and Home Plate for homeless youth. I also serve with Engineers Without Borders, Community Engineering Corps, and the Education First Scholarship Foundation, all benefiting traditionally underserved communities. I'm grateful that my military pension and ongoing teaching allows me to continue my long tradition of public service and to self-fund my campaign in these tough COVID times. If elected, I will donate all after-tax counselor compensation to local nonprofits. I hope you will honor my intentions to serve our city with courage, competence, candor, and commitment by voting for me this May for Beaverton City Council. And I thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions or comments.
No, I don't, it's gonna say, this is the time. Well, not seeing any, I guess.
Okay, well, I will type my email in the chat and look forward to continuing the conversation with anybody who's interested. And I will stay logged on for a little bit longer. I also need to drop off at some point here, but thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. And now we go to Ashley. I'll let you introduce your complete name and
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone, for having me this evening. My name is Ashley Hartmeyer-Prigg. I'm running for Beaverton City Council. I grew up in Beaverton. I spent a lot of time at the library back when it was on Allen. We could walk there from our house. I lived in Beaverton or Aloha for nearly my entire life, with the exception of college, where I attended the University of Portland, but I even commuted from Beaverton to law school in Salem. I'm currently the chair of the board of directors of the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District. And at THPRD, we've seen the importance of our regional relationships. We've seen the importance of government acting in service to the people. And I believe that my leadership experience at THPRD has prepared me to serve on the city council. And the relationships I've built mean that I can be effective on day one. I'm proud to be endorsed by our county chair, Harrington, our Metro president, Lynn Peterson, and our Beaverton mayor. Partnerships like this across our region are the types of partnerships that we need for creative solutions around affordable housing, to making sure that people earn livable wages, and to do our part to reverse climate change. So I just wanted to keep it short and introduce myself. I ask for your vote on May 18th, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay, thank you.
No questions. Yeah, thank you for coming. Again, feel free to bail out if you need to. I got just a couple things and then I'll get the Officer Klein. And that's one of those is the next meeting that is scheduled is September 16th, 2021. Now, we did have a successful meeting in the middle of last summer, but there were a bunch of items going on. If that's the case, this year I'll do the same, but otherwise I'm not planning on any during the summer. And the regular meeting for September 16th. Okay, I am going to also add that our board is going down in numbers. A couple years ago, we had about 20 on the board. Last year we had 17, and now some more. Almost all of them moved out of the area, so we can't blame the board. What's happening at the meetings, I guess. But anyway, Pat and Bob and Patty Burke have notified the city that they're no longer in the area. And of course, our sheriff from last year, there's several, but I won't list the others, but those are two new ones. So we're down to 12 members on the board, which is pretty low for us. But it's also sort of reflected in the meeting. Okay. And other than that, I'm going to go into the community police officer, Officer Klein. It's all yours.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Sorry about the couldn't get logged on, but here I am. So just a couple things. The elementary schools, the kids are starting to come back, and I visited quite a few of the schools. The kids are just awesome. They're very kind of excited, nervous to be back, but it's awesome to see them interacting with each other, and they love getting to see the teachers in person. And it's really just if you haven't seen it, it's awesome that the kids are back in the schools. Middle schoolers are coming back, and then after that, high schoolers. So we're looking forward to that. As far as crime stats, things have gotten a little bit more interesting in the neighborhood. We've actually had, let's see, I think it was 9 thefts in the area. I know from my experience working nights, a lot of times, folks will leave the garage doors open. You see a lot more activities like pulling a lawnmower out and kids riding their bikes in the neighborhood. They leave the garage doors open. It's a pretty big bullseye for theft. So if you see your neighbor's garage door open, or we're trying to spread the word to remember to definitely prevent that. We've had 3 DUIs in the neighborhood. Our graveyard guys have really been on it, trying to make sure that people are safe that way. But it tends to follow the seasons with the warm weather. Things to kind of pick up like that. So that's kind of everything that's been going on in Beaverton. If anybody has any questions. Okay. Well, thanks for having me, and sorry for the delay.
Ramona did have a question.
Oh, okay.
Your sound, you're muted. Ramona. Yeah,
you were referring to the increase in thefts in Beaverton. How does that compare with Greenway NAC?
Let's see here. Yeah, just double checking my figures. I believe that is us. Yeah, so there was 9 this month.
And so that is an increase for our NAC.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Are you our regular officer for Greenway NAC for our meetings?
Yes.
I'm curious then, what has happened at our last several meetings that we had no reports from the Beaverton police?
This was the first time I got the link. If do you want the past records then?
I would be interested in them, yes.
Okay. And I can also, there's a link on the city website. If you go to departments and then you click on police, and it actually has crime information, and it'll break down by crimes and by neighborhoods as well, if you're interested in that as well.
It's broken down by NACs?
Yes, it is.
Good. Okay. I hope that we'll be able to have regular police reports at future NAC meetings.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess I do have a question for you. I at least see on Nextdoor there's an awful lot of catalytic converter thefts and alarm calls. I was wondering if that's where a lot of the crime is showing up now.
Yeah, actually, there's been quite an uptick in those catalytic converter thefts. There's some precious metals that are inside them, the way they're designed, and so we're actually working on it. I can't share the details, but there is a lead on being able to find out who these folks are doing, or that are committing these crimes, and who's actually receiving the materials that they're, because they ultimately break them down. It's quite the process. So it's not something someone's doing in their garage. It's actually an organized crime ring. So our guys are working on that. And, as soon as that comes to fruition, I can share that information. But yeah, a lot of the hybrid cars, the smaller, newer cars that have dual catalytic converters tend to be an obvious target, since you can get 2 per car that you steal from. So that's definitely been on our radar as well.
Okay, thank you. And Rhonda Lee had a question too, or she had her hand up.
I answered my question. I was looking for the link for the crime statistics so I could put it in the notes, but while he was answering that question, I think I found it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I had a question also.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers, so I looked at the numbers on the website. Does that include, for the thefts, does that include porch pirates as well, or is that a separate, does that fall under something else?
I'm sorry, you broke up right as you said what thefts?
Porch pirates.
Oh, porch pirates. Yes. So it's broken down by motor vehicle thefts and then larceny thefts. Yes, it does happen during the season, but during Christmas, there was a ton of those that we were arresting folks for. We do see a slight decline in those during this time, because a lot of people are outside in their yards. Obviously people are home and whatnot, but during Christmas time, there's a big uptick with that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Officer Klein, I just want to say it's very nice to see you. It's been forever and a half since I've seen you. So.
Yes. So thanks so much for having me.
Okay, great. No, and if you have to check in a little late, it doesn't hurt anything, but I can always throw you on the agenda.
Perfect. Thanks for doing that.
Anyway,
yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and the next, let me do the city update. That's you, Franziska, right?
That's me. All right, so a couple of things that I've got to report on. So first thing is what's happening on 5th Street. On April 1st, Mayor Lacey Beatty held a town hall with help from project experts who provided an overview and listened to questions from community members on the 5th Street happenings. It included information on the fountain renovation at City Park, the senior affordable housing project, and book corner prospects. A video of the event is accessible online at beavertonoregon.gov/5th Street projects, and I'll put that link in the chat with an overview of each project on that webpage. These projects support Beaverton's community-driven vision for a more dynamic city center with better access to equitable services. And then next up is city manager recruitment. So the search for the city's administrative lead who will report to City Council on the operation of services and programs continues. Community survey, I'd have to check to see if the link is still live. I know it's going to be closing here soon. To gather public input on key initiatives and desired qualities to guide hiring was happening through the first part of April. Still might be, have to check on that. I will in just a minute here. But opportunities to meet the finalists will occur in May actually, and appointment is expected in summer. And you can learn more at beavertonoregon.gov/city manager. And then the shelter is extended through May. So the Beaverton Severe Weather Shelter has extended operations through May 31st to continue support for area adults experiencing homelessness and in response to COVID-19. Just Compassion of East Washington County will continue to operate the shelter using funding provided by Washington County. The shelter will be the only site in the county to maintain operations in a group setting with staff and resources available to enrolled participants. Together with relief shelters offering individualized space, there will be a countywide capacity to serve nearly 160 adults aged 18 and older. Beaverton Shelter opened for its 5th season in November 2020 with expanded operations to include continuous 24-hour, 7 days per week services for up to 30 adults on an enrollment basis. Shelter guests are provided with meals, showers, access to resources, and referral to social services. Referral for adults in need can be enrolled by contacting Community Connect at 503-640-3263 or visiting at www.co.washington.or.us/homeless. Families can access the Family Shelter Network by calling 503-640-3263. The shelter is not currently taking volunteers or donations at this time, but those interested can check the website for future needs. For more information and updates about the shelter, visit beavertonoregon.gov/shelter. And last, but certainly not least, certainly relevant to the guests that we had tonight, the Spring Voters Forum is taking place on April 29th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. And candidates running for City Council Position 1 in Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District Directors for the May 18th special election will be featured. The Beaverton Committee for Community Involvement, BCCI, is the one hosting and sponsoring the virtual event. And the event can be viewed online at beavertonoregon.gov/voters forum or on Tualatin Valley Community Television, TVCTV, channel 30 for English and channel 28 for Spanish. Attendees are encouraged to ask the candidate's question in advance to be featured during the event. The deadline for question submissions is Monday, April 26th, and questions should be directed to all candidates for a given position. So that's what I have for you all this evening. Like I said, I'll put these links in the chat. But does anyone have any questions?
It's pretty quiet tonight. Okay, thank you, Franziska. And the next part is the traffic control program for residential streets. And there's been some concerns from several NACs, mainly Highland and Central, about the way the votes take place on these, that they feel it's not fair. Traffic calming is for residential streets, mostly ones that are 25 miles an hour. And it's usually provides speed bumps, maybe roundabouts, things like that, to try to control the speed. And to do that, you know, once a group gets organized and is interested in this, they do a survey of everybody that lives on whatever street you're talking about, plus a certain distance up the side streets that connect to it. And the concern that people have is, and I'll use an example, I think that's easier. Say there's 100 people involved, which would be a fairly big traffic calming project, but let's just say 75% return their questionnaire, right? But the whole 75% were in favor of it, but the 25 that didn't return theirs is considered a no by the city, and therefore they didn't make the 76%. This group has several ideas. One of them is to change it to a percentage of those that actually return the surveys. In other words, if 75 returned it, then you'd only need 76% of the 75. And they're hoping to change changes, and of course they do it through the traffic commission. And if you look at how many traffic calming projects were passed, it's very, very small. I have a list here, but none of them are in Greenway, so I'm not going to read the list. But we did have one in the upper part in Indian Hills, on Indian Hills. Oh, it was before this. It was back maybe 12, 13 years ago. And they actually didn't get the NAC involved. They just did it on their own, and they were not successful. And a lot of these, you know, aren't successful because people really don't want it. I look through these and I can see it. And even some roads around here that you think would want it, like Conestoga, and there was another one I saw around here, actually voted it down. But, you know, the reason may be of the way it was done. I don't know. So we're trying to do is get opinions from the NACs as to, you know, are you in favor of changing it? Do you, let me see if I can find the exact question, like, here they are, let me start at the beginning. You know, would you be in support of changing this? You know, is the NAC willing to take a vote on it? I know this is a very controversial subject, probably more controversial than the people that are behind this really think. So I'd like to hear some opinions on it. I mean, I could go into more details, but I don't know if that's really the way to go. So can I hear some? I mean, I figured at least Ramon should have some thoughts on this. So, you know, anyway, I'd like to hear some comments before I delve on this further. You know, are you in favor of changing it? That's probably the one big question and I may just ask that as a group question because we're a pretty small group. You know, would you support it? There's several things. Would you support it as a, well, we actually have 4 people here that are on the board, and since the board's down to 12, we make a quorum. We're close to not having a quorum. So we have any comments that people want to make?
Well, it seems, is that the only choice, is either leave it as is or else just support this proposal that whatever amount returns their surveys to go with that amount? I mean, like our board meeting, like our NAC meeting, we have to have a quorum for it to even be considered legal. Don't they need a quorum?
Well, all they can do is go to the traffic commission and try to convince them. The traffic commission is the one that will make any decisions on changing the rules. So
at this point, there is no proposal on the table. Is that right?
Right. They've
Other
already
than maybe, do you want to change or don't you want to change? That's
well, yeah, that's part of what they're trying to find out from the NACs is, do you want to change? You know, if the majority want to change, would you be willing to support it with a letter or even testify, that kind of thing? As far as, you know, the NACs, like I said, Highland and Central both had traffic calming projects that they thought were good and got turned down by the fact. The main thing that is hurting it the most is the fact that the no's are the people that don't return their survey are considered no's.
Yeah.
And, you know, today that's pretty common. I mean, so that is probably, they have some suggestions and I'll try to find it here. I didn't get this information I got today. I mean, there was a mix up on getting it to me. So I'm a little bit late on it. Here's they want to know whether you support changing the program or retaining the status quo. And you know, as far as the exact changes to make, I don't think they're quite. Just a minute. There, I just answer a question. So so I guess the big question is, does the NAC even support changing it? You know, which would make it very easier to get traffic calm, but also may mean speed bumps, that kind of thing. And you know, let me just sort of have a poll. If you're in favor of it, just raise your hand.
In favor of what? The change, making a
change to it, yeah.
And this is just changing it, not changing it in a specific way. I'm a little unclear.
Well, as far as I can tell, it wasn't super clear as how they're gonna do it, but I believe the biggest change that they're looking at is changing so the no votes aren't counted. Okay, well, I mean, let's make it more specific.
You mean so that the non-responsive,
Non-responsive,
non-responses
yeah,
don't
non-responsive
count?
don't
Yeah.
count. Would everybody be in favor of that? Or just
Yeah.
raise your hand.
Yes.
Okay, so we can say a majority are, and if you want, I can write a letter from the NAC. I'll make it short, but just say we voted and we would be supportive of that. I don't know
Yeah.
if we really know about enough other changes, but I think that one alone would be a significant one if they can go that route. So, we have 4 people, which is, so Rhonda, did you vote for it?
I got a dog barking right now, so I didn't want to unmute. I guess so. I'm a little unclear on what all the program is now, and
Well, it's the program that puts speed bumps. Now they're only for residential streets, and if you feel your street's got way too much traffic on it, it's a way to get it to slow down. The speed bumps, sometimes they use roundabouts. It just depends on what's available, how much room there is to do like things like roundabouts, that kind of thing. And I don't think the changes they're talking about are going to that right now. They're mainly concerned with how we vote in the neighborhood to do it. So what we're taking the simplistic thing, would you be willing in support of changing the fact that the non-returners of the survey will not be considered, just the actual no votes and the actual yes votes? Not quite sure how to word that in a response, but we could do that. And I think, as far as I can see, I think that's would help significantly. That's the thing that is really killing them. I mean, there's going to be some areas that people don't want it, and you're going to have more no's. And yeah, especially you're allowing people up the street a ways to vote. But then, if you connect to that street, you're affected. I don't see any problem. I feel much more comfortable just promoting the idea that we don't count the non-returners of the survey. So I don't know how
That would provide incentive for everybody who can vote to vote.
Right, especially if you're a no voter, right? Because yeah.
I think it gets off in the weeds, but when something like that happens, then does the city notify everybody? I've never seen a request to vote on or to a survey about traffic calming. So I don't know what the range is on where you have to be in the traffic calming area to get the survey. And if there's a change to how it works, do people have to be notified on, okay, now if you don't respond?
Well, yeah. Well, normally there's organizers of the effort to do it right. And then they talk to the traffic department, usually the JABRA, and he tells them what they need to get it to be considered by a traffic commission. Okay. So if they can get a high enough percentage of people in support of it, then the traffic commission will probably put it into one of they have a list of traffic calming projects, and in previous years, they've had more than they could ever finance. So they make a decision on the top priority. And I believe that's the way it's working now. So you would have to get some organizers in your thing to go ahead and set up the vote and show that you have support from enough people to get the traffic commission to consider it. You agree with me, Franziska? That's sort of the way it works, because
yeah. So the basic kind of template for how traffic calming projects work is, so somebody submits a request online via the website that I just put in the chat there for the traffic calming webpage. And then they hold an initial meeting with the neighbors on that stretch of road. There are currently 2 traffic calming projects that are actually having those initial meetings in the Neighbor Southwest neighborhood right now. And then they will have another meeting with the neighborhood, and then the vote goes out. And then I'm not sure how far the range is. I know it's pretty isolated to the specific area in question, but I can get a specific range, whether that's 100 feet from the road or 500 feet. I don't think it's quite so wide as 500 from the specific stretch of road, but hopefully the information on that website will be a little bit more illuminative. But certainly, to Jim's point, the big question that's being discussed right now at BCCI and with Traffic Commission is changing that stipulation that non-returned ballots, as it were, count as no votes. So let me see, I may have something.
My questions were a little more out of curiosity of how it works than need to know. So
okay.
Thank you, Franziska. I was just curious. I'll check out the website.
Okay. One thing I didn't mention is no matter how the no's are counted, if it changed or not, it still takes 67% of the people in the area to approve it, and that's what's making it so tough is, a lot of times 25 or 30% won't return the surveys, and 67%, that's really hard to get a change.
Yeah.
So. And you see, it goes so far up side streets, and I don't remember the rules on that, but there are specific rules on what is considered the area you're looking at.
Sure.
And, it takes a couple organizers in the community or a NAC can get behind it, whichever they want to do. And, normal way now would probably be to get NAC to have a subcommittee that's looking into it and does what they can. So
well, Miles created a diagram that might just be, it may be useful, maybe all of you, or traffic calming can be quite complex and hard, at least for me, to kind of grasp. But I thought this diagram that Miles put together, I'll just pull it up really quick. A chart that shows kind of how a project can be really desired and still fail. So on the left, it says current method, proposal fails. So 66% of the people could vote yes. So in, hypothetically, every single person who submits their ballot could vote yes. But if it doesn't meet that 67% threshold because the other 34% didn't even vote at all, then it still fails. But then under the proposed solution that they're saying, you can see 44% of people can simply just not turn in their ballot, but it will be based on the percent of people who do turn it in is at 67% of those ballots that have been completed.
Yeah. And incidentally, I do have that chart, but I didn't see an easy way. And it's saying here on this, from the neighborhood, that the current suggestion is that 67% of homes that respond be required to pass a traffic calming measure. So that's sort of what we said. So
yeah,
actually, what so let me just ask on this. So would we support the current suggestion that 67% of homes that respond be required to pass the traffic? Take 67% of the homes that respond be required to pass the traffic calming measure. I think that's the solution. I'm not sure if we're going to anything else. So are we all in favor of that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll write a letter to sitting here as traffic commission. I'll find out who, and just saying that our NAC supports basically requiring that 67% of homes that respond be required to pass the thing, and that'll go part of the testimony that the group that's working hard on this will take before traffic commission. Okay, so the more that are in favorable response to it, the better. So we'll do that. I think that's what they really wanted from us, was suggestions. And like I said, I didn't, for some reason I got dropped off the land list and I didn't get all the information. I got it I sent Terry Waller, who's sort of heading this for BCCI, and anyway, I got the information from them. Okay, let's go on. Local land use issues. And I'm gonna, this was an item that they discussed on one of our meetings about 217 extra lanes and all that. But there was one part of that that I didn't notice. And we just got the thing from the city today. And part of what they're gonna do, besides the auxiliary lanes and all that kind of stuff, is here where my light's not very good, is widening the Southwest Hall Boulevard overpass for bicycle and pedestrian improvements. Now, as most of you know, the Hall Boulevard overpass over 217 is basically got a small pedestrian walkway, no bicycle path, and actually the walkway is only on one side. So it's very narrow. So they're going to fix that and widen the bridge. Exactly how, I don't know, but I just thought I'd mention that I saw that in the land use thing. Also, at Olson Road and Hall Boulevard, which is where the Papa's Credible Pizza, or whatever the name of John's Credible Pizza, right? There's a little building going up there. There's a water main, big one, going down Olson and some other streets. It's actually part of the big pipe, or whatever they call it, the one that's bringing the Willamette River water up into Beaverton. And there's a building going up there. It has to do with control of water flowing through the pipes, and they say it won't take away any parking spots or anything like that. But if you see a building going up, it'd be on the northwest corner there. And those are the two land use items I had. So any question on those? I'm sure we'll eventually be seeing some action going on there. Yeah. Any neighborhood issues, concerns that anybody's concerned about? Ramona?
Some weeks ago, I had seen something printed by the city, and they had sent out on email. And it was, to me, it looked like a proposed traffic change on Hall crossing, well, there at Shoals Ferry and Hall was the intersection in question. And I thought what they were proposing to do was to put up those little poles as a barrier to prevent cars from making left turns into that shopping center that's there on Hall, just south of Shoals. You know where I'm talking about, where the Taco Bell and the marijuana shop.
Yeah.
And anyway, they have had problems for years, cars trying to make a left turn into the shopping center that are headed whatever direction that is, towards Tigard, toward the Washington Square, but on Hall. And so I thought that was the proposal, but nothing seems to have happened. Do you know anything about that, Jim?
No, and normally they send me information on that, and no, I've not heard anything about it. I can check on it though. I mean,
I'd be interested, because I feel like, yes, they need something that is just getting more and more congested in that general area, the intersection.
Taco Bell is pretty hard to get into itself, right?
Yeah.
And I would think it'd be people going east on Hall away from Washington Square that want to turn left into Taco Bell. that's pretty hard to do, you know. And of course, our gentleman's place is not open yet due to COVID restrictions, but it's going to be in that area too. And it's been all approved. They really haven't done much yet. So I'll check in on that and find out. I would think they'd have to do a development permit to add something to the road. That's usually the case. I have on other things that happen there, so I'll check. Anyway, I'll
Okay.
check on that for you.
Thank you.
And I'll send you an email if I find anything.
Okay.
I'll also ask Miles if he knows anything. He attends all of the pre-application meetings, so he's usually very well versed in all of the developments in Beaverton.
Right. I would be very surprised if I got something from Beaverton that I didn't look at though, as far as especially that street, but it's possible. So anything's possible. Okay. Any other concerns? Okay. The next thing is Beaverton Cci Report. And since I'm the CCI rep, and basically at our last meeting, I'm not going to have a lot of information. I just want to tell you what happened is we had the police chief, Rhonda Groshon. I'm not sure I said that right. She was
Groshon.
Yeah, she was at the meeting. One of those where you could ask anything you want, more or less. Not many people ask much, so she said she was surprised. Usually she really gets beat up at meetings. So, and then we had, and there's no way I can duplicate this, but there's a gal that's really enthused about restaurants in Beaverton, and she had a new restaurants update, and it sounds like quite a number of restaurants are coming into Beaverton. Or some of how successful things are depend on this COVID crisis sort of going down and people can eat, but then a lot of them are takeout too.
17 new businesses, 17 new restaurants coming to downtown.
Yeah, 17 new restaurants in Beaverton. And some of them sounded interesting. And see, really going on. You know, our BCCI, if you're interested in that, our BCCI meeting is recorded and online. There's no reason they can't watch it if they want, right? So you could, you know, my suggestion would be just sort of, if you're not interested in the rest, just fast forward to the restaurant section. It's really interesting what all's coming. Then we did traffic calming, this is sort of like we did here. And that is really what's going on. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Now we oh, and the voters forum, very essential. I put that down as a note. Again, I know you've heard it a bunch of times. It was part of the agenda package you got, but it's Thursday, April 29th at 6:30 p.m. And I'm still a little unclear exactly. They say TVC TV's YouTube feeds, but you actually have to watch it on channel 30, right? If you don't have cable, you don't have access to it.
You can watch it on either. So you can, if you have TV at home and you want to watch it on TV, you can watch it on TVC TV, but you can also go to the beavertonoregon.gov/voters forum website. And we have links to the TVC TV's YouTube feed, which is just the same. The same feed that's going into television is going to their YouTube channel. And so you can watch it live online if you don't have TV.
Yeah, that's what was a little confusing to me. So basically just go to the one you said.
So we can go to the city website and just click on it from there. Okay.
Yep, the link will take you straight to that YouTube feed and you'll just watch it as if you were watching it on television, just on your computer.
Okay. And it'll also be, it's on YouTube, so you can watch it later on YouTube if you decide you want to go back and listen for sure what exactly is on it. Okay, so that's the important thing I want to get out from you, and also the school district one. And THPRD people will be at the voters forum. You know, actually, there's just about one person per position. I looked at to see maybe they wanted to be a visitor of mine. And there's really no competition. I mean, you know, pretty much. And Wendy, unfortunately, as part of our NAC, she unfortunately isn't going to be able to do it anymore. So, okay. And now new business, and Ramona has expressed a desire to be the alternate BCCI person for our NAC. And as you know, right now we don't have an alternate BCCI person, and we don't have a vice chair. So anyway, I'm going to make the motion that we appoint Ramona as the alternate BCCI person for our neighborhood. And is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Anyway, everybody just raise your hand if you're in favor of it. Well, I guess I don't vote unless it's a tie. Okay, fine. Okay, so that sound good? Sound okay with you, Ramona?
Yes, that's fine.
She's been coming. I told her to come anyway. There's going to be, as long as nobody stepped up to it at our last election, I didn't think there was going to be a problem at all, and there isn't. So we have that. Now, if we had we'll have our election again in November, but it would be nice to have a vice chair, especially at my age. You know, they always should have somebody. Any other business for the NAC?
I guess I have a question. So you had kind of alluded to participation. At one point, I used to see this meeting being advertised on Nextdoor, and I don't see it there anymore. I wonder if that would help get
Yeah,
more.
I have done it in the past. Hasn't seemed to help, but I was going to do it this week, and I got too many things happen, and I just didn't make it. I know it doesn't take too long to do, but that was my intention. Yes, to put it on Nextdoor. Although I only found a few people that joined because of Nextdoor. So, but you were one of them, right? So
I actually found out from my neighbor across the street, and then I didn't know how to attend because I didn't know when the meetings were, and then I saw it on Nextdoor.
oh, okay. Yeah, I will make sure next time that I get it on Nextdoor.
Would it be too weird to post flyers around the neighborhood?
Well, we've tried that and it hasn't worked. And it's actually illegal to put flyers on the city, like signs and things like that. We used to have a guy that was on our committee that was very anti-posters thing. And he'd rip them down everywhere you could see them. And I've tried hand delivering them, but you know, you can't put it in the mailbox. What I used to do is go early in the morning after the newspapers have been delivered and put them on sort of inside the newspaper. Probably not the best way, but it works, right? But nobody gets a newspaper anymore, right? Everybody does the stuff on their phones or online. So, you know, and I know in our mail thing where there's, you know, half a dozen people, but I'm the only one that gets any papers. So there is no good way to do it. I mean, the best way is to go door to door, but even in COVID days, that doesn't work very good because nobody wants to talk to you. I mean, you know, it means it's less, and it takes a lot of time for that. So, yeah, you know, and unfortunately, we've lost about 4 or 5 people that attended fairly regularly. And, you know, some of us just, we've always been a sort of an older NAC, and now we're just getting older, right? And we need to get some younger people in.
Do you know what the participation is at other NACs? Do they have more people participate in their meetings?
Do you know how, Franziska, do you know how they're running as far as attendance goes?
Yeah, it really just depends on the NAC. So I'm the staff liaison to 2 other NACs. I don't normally attend this neighborhood meeting, but it really just depends. There are some NACs that have really strong attendance consistently, like Highland has a very engaged NAC membership. Central Beaverton also, Central Beaverton is, also has a lot of activity that's always happening in the downtown core. So I think that draws a lot of people out. The Sexton Mountain Neighbor Southwest NAC. So yeah, I mean, there are a handful of them that have had consistent participation, but it ebbs and flows, like Jim says, people move in, people move out. Different life circumstances change. So definitely recruitment is always something that we are looking to improve upon and expand our reach on. But my colleague Miles Glowacki is the one who is in charge of that. But if you have other ideas or suggestions, we certainly are always open and happy to help actualize on those suggestions.
I was curious for those that have better participation, what they're doing. Like, are they, I used to see that, I think it was South Beaverton would put a placard out in front of the fire department on meeting, the week of the meetings. And so it would remind me, oh yeah, we've got a meeting coming up. So ours always followed theirs. So I was just curious what other groups did that got their attendance up.
Yeah, well, I know like for Highland, for example, they're very active on social media. The chair actually posts to his own YouTube channel the meetings. So I think they have different people within the NAC doing different promotional activities. But social media has definitely been a big key in that, just like you were saying next door, right? Reaching people that way. So I know in Sexton Mountain Neighbor Southwest, they have somebody in their NAC board that is responsible for those kinds of notifications and promotions. And then, like I said, Central Beaverton just naturally has the benefit of having a lot of activity that drives people to the meeting to find out what's happening in their neighborhood. So it's a mix, but definitely social media is a way that, people are just getting all of their information these days.
Yep.
Okay, well, we will definitely get it in next door next time. And Facebook, there's usually something that the city for a long time has been putting information of meeting in Facebook, and I haven't looked at that recently. So
yeah, so prior to COVID, we actually had a temporary staff worker who worked for the unemployment department, and then she also worked a couple of hours for us, and she was really great about maintaining that consistency with posting on our Facebook pages. But then obviously once COVID hit, she focused full-time on her job. She was working a lot of overtime with that job. And so in the interim, we haven't had the additional bandwidth to continue posting with the same regularity that she was able to maintain, but we are actually looking at hiring, essentially like contracting out those social media postings, because consistency is key when it comes to social media. And having regular fresh content to keep people engaged is really important. So we're trying to find some alternate ways of meeting that need while we still have a really small team. It's just Miles and myself and our boss. And I oversee all of the boards and commissions, and Miles oversees all the NACs. And then I'm the public involvement coordinator with the city of Beaverton. So I am in an internal consulting role for all of the city projects and their public engagement efforts. So yeah, but we do have an intern that is coming on board here soon. And so she actually used to be on the Mayor's Youth Advisory Board, so we're hoping to have a little bit more bandwidth. And that's one of the things that we have on our list is those Facebook pages and making sure that we can continue to engage that way. Because we do have, for each of the NAC has its own Facebook page, and there's an audience for each of them. So just making sure to be engaging with that is really important to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
any other ideas? No, I'm open to anything. The Facebook, the city been doing such a good job. I just assumed they were still doing it. So I will check Facebook next time too. I mean, I can go in and put the information on the meetings. but they were putting other information too.
Yeah, I try when I try to remember the Facebook pages when I'm doing outreach for different things. Like I was the one that posted for the Public Safety Center, naming submissions and, you know, some other things just to help kind of make sure that the word gets around. But yeah, but especially having NAC specific content, I think is a direction that we really want to go. I mean, it's one thing for me to repost, you know, a City of Beaverton post and post it on all of the NAC pages, but it's another thing to have, you know, to recognize that the audience is a specific audience with a specific scope that they're interested in, and making sure that that content gets to them.
Well, I think though with the NAC, you need to, or with the Facebook post, you need to have followed or liked the page in order for it to pop up. I know that you can also pay, and it's not very expensive to hit a very targeted audience. I don't know if there's budget, but I think it's like $5 for a week or something. It's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then that forces it to pop up.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. No, that's great. Thank you.
Anyway, anything else?
Yes, Jim, I was wondering, are we going to do our street cleanup before next fall?
I am looking at the possibility. And again, this is something I'll ask Franziska, you know, like a project we do like street cleaning is the city. I mean, we're doing it in the city's name, right? I mean, all the adopt the road stuff is all set up. Is it okay doing that now? I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's COVID protocols, right? But other NACs have held different events. Like Highland did a really successful shredding event, and they have a really great template. They also did some tree plantings during COVID, and so you know those are pretty equivalent to what you're talking about in terms of the street cleanup. It's outside; people can be safely distanced. So that's certainly feasible. That's definitely a feasible neighborhood event that you can do.
Right, I was considering doing that. You know, another concern I had too is, you know, the McAlpines, you know, Jim and Esther were helping, and they're both, you know, she's not in good health, and he pretty much stays home to take care of her. Of course, Jennifer Barker and Travis Diskin were both helping, and they both moved out to different areas outside of Beaverton. And I'm concerned we'll have enough, you know. So if we do it, we're going to have to do it where, I mean, really, truly, we can do it with 3 people or even 2 if one work is. But yeah, I thought of trying that in the summertime, especially when the seniors have had a chance to get their 2 shots and everything like that, which at least I have. So, you know,
I have too.
Yeah. So, you know, and everybody stays 6 feet apart, which
we do.
And wears masks. It's not a problem. You know, so I was looking at it, doing it maybe in June if the weather's nice, something like that, getting started again. Right now, it looks pretty good. There's somebody used to be in our NAC. They haven't attended for a while, but they emailed me, and they've been walking around cleaning up quite a bit of stuff. So, you know, I was thinking of that. I was looking at that. That was one of the reasons the paper shredding thing. I was a little worried about that because I didn't think we really had enough people to do that. I mean, you know, our NAC has gotten smaller, and some of the people in the NAC just don't have that good of health, right? So.
Well, the majority of the labor was actually the company that the NAC used the funds from the matching grant to be able to hire. So it didn't require a lot of member labor, so to speak. Obviously, there was coordination, and they were on site to help, you know, facilitate it. But that is another option, and it was a really easy and straightforward project for the neighborhood to do, and it had a really great response from the neighborhood as being a really, you know, essential kind of service that people were really interested in, especially because a lot of the shredding sites and shredding events that used to happen, you know, with the Beaverton Police Department were not happening during COVID or just had been, you know, shut down. So that is another option too, if you wanted to find like a neighborhood event and use those matching grant fund dollars.
Yeah, that's something to look at. I was thinking we needed to go a few more months of, you know, everybody getting shots, that kind of thing. But the road thing, yeah, is, you know, 2 or 3 people could do it as long as they stay 6 feet away. So, and they may change that to 3 feet if you've had vaccines. I don't know what they're talking about. So I'll keep that in mind. That's why I was thinking I might have a meeting in the summertime if we see some projects we can do. And the road one is obviously the easy one, right? And what I'll probably do, if I think the time it looks fine to do that, is send some emails to the people that have actually helped to make sure that they be available. So Ann has helped and etc. So we'll see. I think that's a good one to go ahead on. Maybe see what I can do around May or June. I'll have to go up Downing more and look at the road, too, not the road, but the sidewalk, see how they are. So they just poured, or they were in the process of putting bark dust along there because the guy was concerned about the sweet gum balls from the sweet gum trees. Was really upset that the city vacuumed off the sweet gum balls thing from the sidewalk, but they just covered the sweet gum balls with the sawdust or the bark dust. And that is supposedly a no-no because the sweet gum little ball things that fall off tree are not biodegradable, at least for hundreds of years. And, you know, she wanted picked up. I mean, she's always tried to do that, try to get somebody to help her pick up sweet gum balls rather than the junk. And that's pretty hard on people, especially old people. Right? I mean, when we can use a little gripper thing in sacks. Anyway, but I got her in touch with the maintenance people to see if they agreed with that or not. Because they do have a big thing that sucks all when the leaves come, they can suck all the leaves up from the area. So anyway, we'll keep that on as a possibility. And I'll make sure, even if we do it before there's a meeting, I'll make sure that everybody on our email list gets notified about it.
Okay.
We'll hit June. June might be a good month to get started on that. By then, most of the people our age should have got their shots to be vaccinated. Okay, anybody else? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.